Hey, what's up, YouTube? Frogman Lauger here. Got another episode of the Frogman's Finance coming at you. In my last video, it was a little under a week ago or a few days ago that I did mine. Ended up at 161 in here, and I was at, I wasn't sure, but I think I'm now at 146 of my previous games to get back. Throwing a quick update there. Went ahead and went down on Saturday, right not long after I did my last video, after I recorded it anyway. The Iowa Retro Gamer Nation had their gathering of gamers get together, and a ton of us went down to a little arcade about 40 minutes from me or so. And we all brought stuff to trade. Some of my stuff was already kind of traded ahead of time. Other stuff I just brought with me, and we made deals as we went. Ended up making like 4 or 5 deals here with a bunch of different people. Hopefully I've got all the games attributed to the right person. If I get them flip-flopped, I apologize for not giving credit where credit is due. Had them all separated in my trunk, and when I got back home, they kind of all merged into a pile. They didn't stay as separated as I would have liked. Anyway, so I'm going to try to do these in order that they kind of happened, but we'll go from there. Started off, ended up doing a trade with a newer member of the Retro Gamer Nation by the name of Cody. Traded him Dragon Warrior and California Games. Surprisingly, California Games he didn't have, and I actually traded him his number 500 as he's going toward the complete set as well. So I traded those away, and I got back Terminator 2 and Hydlide. Both of those are going in my collection. So thank you, Cody. I know I've had Hydlide before. I don't think I've had Terminator 2 ever before. That I mentioned in my last video, I had those Xbox games. I traded those to Musty Hobbit. We kind of had arranged that ahead of time. And he traded me Tecmo Bowl. And conveniently, from the last time that I owned it, I have the box and manual. So that is going in my collection, and that is now complete. So thank you, Musty, for that. Then I made a trade with Tim. I've dealt with him before. I think I might have mentioned him in one of my other videos. I traded him Mortal Kombat 4 and WWF No Mercy, both for the N64. And I got back Joust, Dragon Power, Bad Dudes, Rollerball, and Anticipation. I kind of made it a point to get Anticipation because I have the box and manual from the last time I owned it, so that one is now complete. So thank you for that, Tim. Then met, for the first time, a guy out of the Retro Gamer Nation. His name's Phil. He had heard me talking when I was making my deal with Cody, trying to get one particular game. He's like, I got a copy of that. Maybe we can work something out. So I traded him the N64 expansion pack with the little remover tool and the baggie with the manual and all of that for some games. I got back Pinball, which was actually the game he had heard me talk about. Dino Wars. I have never owned Dino Wars before. Was kind of excited about that. Commando. And Legacy of the Wizard. Those are all going in my collection. And I traded for Hydlide. How I forgot that I had literally traded for this game, 10 minutes prior, I don't know. I did. I ended up with 2 copies. So I'm going to look them over. One of those will be available for trade. But otherwise, the rest of those are going in my collection. Really happy with that trade. So, yeah. Thank you, Phil. Then was sitting inside, we went inside the arcade. A bunch of us took our stuff in. We had tables set up and stuff with boxes of games or bags of games, whatever we happened to take. And I ended up dealing with a gentleman named Jeff. And I had a bunch of those N64 manuals I mentioned in one of my previous videos. And he starts looking them over. And at first he was only really interested in one, the Pokemon Stadium one. So I made a trade, and I traded him that for RC Pro-Am. Does have a little bit of damage to the cart. Not overly concerned about it. If I come across a better looking copy, I'll just trade it out. But I was excited to get that because I showed in my previous video, I have the box. I traded it with Musty. So that's cool. And then he had Super Team Games and the manual. He traded me both of those for just the manual for Pokemon Stadium for N64. So we were kind of talking, and a few other guys were coming over. We were, looking through what everybody brought and stuff. And he was sitting there, he's like, let me see those manuals again. He starts flipping through them and looking, and he's like, okay. He pulls out a bunch. He's like, what would you value those at? I'm like, I shot him a number. He's like, okay. He's like, well, do you see anything else you want? I'm like, well, yeah. Get a copy of DuckTales. And I'm like, yeah, I need that one. He's like, all right. And he's like, well, it still puts us a little lopsided. He goes, is there anything else you kind of need? Or I'm like, well, what else did you bring? He's like, he was also talking to somebody else at the same time and told him that he had a power pad. He actually had brought 2. So he had an extra one to trade. And yeah, I got a power pad. Never had one of these before. Remembered wanting one really bad as a kid. Why I wanted one as a kid, I don't know. I was a fat kid. Why a fat kid thought a running mat was a good idea, I don't know. But yeah, really happy to get the power pad. Have not tried it out. I don't know if there's a weight limit on these things. I might have to do a little bit of research to see if they even can support somebody my size. But kind of excited to have one. So, thank you, Jeff. And lastly, I made another deal with a guy I've mentioned on here before. And that's the 8-Bit Leprechaun. I had that big N64 pickup. Not my last video, but the video before. And I mentioned that the game, that new Tetris complete in box was potentially traded. I traded him a controller and that new Tetris complete in box. He wanted it for his collection, the game anyway. I think he had a system to go with the controller. So we came up to a little bit of a deal, and I got Exodus, Journey to the Promised Land by Wisdom Tree. I don't think I've ever owned this one before. This is actually going to be my first Wisdom Tree game this run of collecting. And Disney's Adventure in the Magic Kingdom, which, again, from the last time I had games, I have the box and manual. So that one's now complete. Thought that was kind of cool. Was really happy with that. Kind of one of the reasons I picked that one. I'm trying to slowly knock off the games that I had previously had complete and get them complete again, as I'm, sitting here fighting to try to get this game back in the box. But yeah, I'm really happy with that. Trying to get that. Like I said, my goal is the complete set. And then he's like, well, that kind of squares us up just for the game. He goes, if we can't reach anything, if there's nothing else I've got that you want as far as the manual, or as far as trading for the controller, don't worry about it. Well, he's like, okay. He goes, but here, I got a stack of manuals. Take a look, see what you need. I'm like, okay. I start looking through, and I pick out a few that I need, and he's like, yeah, we'll call it fair. I'm like, fine by me. I'm not going to complain. So I picked up Joust. Since I just picked up the game, thought it was a great time to pick up the manual to go with it. Got the manual to Strider, which now completes that one. Tiny Toon Adventures. Still need the box for that, but picked it up. Operation Wolf, which was in my last video as just a fresh pickup. Legacy of the Wizard, which I had just picked up earlier that day. And RC Pro-Am, which I thought was kind of cool. Traded with 2 other people there to end up completing out that game. Happened to stumble upon not only a copy of the game, but the manual. I thought that was kind of cool. So, thank you for that, 8-Bit Leprechaun. And so that should bring my total up to 178 in my collection. I crossed 175 at the gathering. Real fun group of guys. I wish I could have stayed longer, hung out, played more, played some games and stuff. Unfortunately, I ended up having to work later that night. I worked 3rd shift and was not able to get the night of the gathering off. But I did have fun, met a bunch of cool guys. I don't think I ended up talking to everybody that was even there. Saw a bunch of stuff I would have loved to have had. A complete in-box Final Fantasy, Mega Man, I think 4 and 5. Not always could I come up with a deal. Just a bunch of different stuff. A couple different copies of Metroid, things like that. Hopefully, I don't know when the next gathering is going to be. Hopefully, I can have some more time off and actually get to go and spend some more time hanging out with the guys. But that was, and gals. I shouldn't just say guys. There were a few ladies there as well. But it was really great meeting everybody at the gathering of gamers. Always fun talking to everybody. Did a bunch of good deals. Hopefully next time I've got a bunch more trade stuff. But as I've said in previous videos, I don't sit on stuff for long if I can help it. If I can get it traded to somebody, I like to, depending on what it is. I also don't mind taking it to my local game store. But that's where we're at. Puts me at 178 games, I believe. I'm going to get these put in there here in a little bit. And I know off the top of my head, I should be at least 27 games now complete in box. So I know it's not a great percentage, but I'm slowly but surely working on that, completing them out here and there as I go. I don't really have anything else. you guys like what you see or whatever, drop me a line in the comments. If you see something, if you're interested in something I've posted in previous videos, again, drop me a line in the comments. Shoot me a message on Facebook. Whatever the case may be. Until next time.